You mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening. And I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up. From what I read, I don't know. He didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden. You know, I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
Of course, saying that at the end when you started with talking about whether or not he likes you, you just decided to bring that up when evaluating whether a person gets a pardon or not. Shows how utterly corrupt your approach to the pardons is. But anyway, for Donald Trump, whatever Sean Combs did or didn't do, it's all about him. But now we're learning at least what he's gonna be held accountable for, because it's now come out guilty on 2 of the 5 charges he was facing and not the more serious ones. And people are presenting this outcome as the best case scenario for the defense. We're gonna find out exactly how best case scenario later on today, actually very soon, because the bail hearing is set for 5. And so we're gonna dive into all of this and which charges went through and which didn't, and what it says about America and how they listen to the victims of crime and all of that. But anyway, Sharon, I'm curious. I have not, like Trump, I have not been following the case super closely. I don't tend to when it comes to celebrity trials like this. But to that, are you surprised by the outcome here?
No. Somehow I figured he'd end up weaseling out of it one way or the other. And the 2 convictions are for the Mann Act. There's no minimum sentencing required. And the key indicator to me was when the judge and Mr. Combs made eye contact, and the judge said, while we figure out this bail thing, because Diddy's lawyer said he wants to go right back to his Florida mansion. We'll give you $1 million right now to let him out today. And the judge said, I'm not gonna send him back to detention. Meaning you can wait here as we sort all this out in the courtroom and kind of, and maybe that's fair given that he got off on the racketeering, but I ultimately do not believe he'll be held accountable. What I think it does say about women, the Me Too movement, and all of that is shocking. That and what it says about a pushback perhaps against systemic racism. And by that I mean you had nothing but white women, well-intentioned, I'm sure, in the prosecution, who went in there and thought they could just talk about the merits of the case. You had a diverse jury who perhaps saw black man here, all white women trying to prosecute him, and that was gonna be a standard they weren't going to meet. But the other part of it is, I'm not a lawyer, but I learned a lot about this case. There was that one incident, the beating, and why was that so important? She was trying to leave one of his freak-offs. Yeah. That's all. And he beat her just harshly and disgustingly to do what? To bring her back. And that's it. You only needed one incident to find on the racketeering and everything. She wanted to leave, even if she agreed to it 50 million times. If a woman says no, on 50 million and one, that's a crime. But they didn't believe her, and they didn't believe, we're used to not being believed, but they didn't, if you really do the math, they didn't believe that shocking video of him beating her and dragging her back. So to me, it says a lot.
One of the crucial things was they had the text messages implying that they were interested in what had been happening or whatever, which frequently in cases like this, there's stuff like that because they're terrified. Like that does not mean,
wouldn't you be?
I would say the video theoretically is a better view into the actual state of mind and what consent actually represents in this case. But again, I didn't follow super closely. Let's just quickly summarize what was found as we await the actual the sentencing or the bail hearing that's gonna happen. The jury found him guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution in connection with Cassie Ventura, former ex-girlfriend. Guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution in connection with his ex-girlfriend who testified under the pseudonym Jane. He was found not guilty on both charges of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, despite the force that we just talked about in that video. Combs was accused of being the ringleader of an alleged enterprise that, quote, abused, threatened, and coerced women into prolonged drug-fueled sexual orgies with male prostitutes, which he called freak-offs, and then threatened them into silence. Combs has said that all the sex was consensual, and that while his relationships sometimes involved domestic violence, he wasn't engaged in trafficking. And look, as I said, I have not been following this super closely. It will never stop amazing me how impossible it is for celebrities to do anything that gets all their fans to write them off. Like, let's say that you believe that it was, yeah, sure, it was consensual or whatever. So first of all, you still have the prostitution stuff. You still have the beating video. He had a crowd of supporters waiting to cheer him. You saw the beating, right? I just don't, like, I have celebrities that I think are cool. I have musicians that I enjoy the music of. There are actors that I like. But there is a level of blind fandom that I will never understand. And it always comes out in these sorts of cases where it doesn't matter what's revealed. The text messages, the video, and it's not just him. We've had a lot of cases of this, of musicians and actors over the last few years where there's nothing they can do that gets people to say, that's enough, that's a line I can't follow you across. Any other thoughts?
I agree with you. From Johnny Depp, you didn't even have to believe everything that Amber Heard said, right? Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly. I loved his music, he's a genius. He's also a derelict, a child molester. Those words matter, and I can't listen to the music anymore. And people can argue about that, can't you separate the music? But I just think this is who we are, where we revere certain people for why I don't know, a country that's not supposed to be founded on kings and queens and that concept. But these people are supposedly better than us when they do horrific things. He'll be back. He'll apologize. Oh, domestic violence, and I've gone and gotten treatment. And yet I picture him on a couch, a late night couch somewhere, getting cheers.
Yeah, 100%. Even if you believe that, if you think he actually regrets any of it or whatever, and then goes and like does a class, okay. You don't have to ever pay attention to him again. Like, you don't actually have to. There are so many artists in the world. Again, but it's, as you point out, there's R. Kelly and there's Chris Brown and there's a million other artists that you can talk about. And people are talking about cases going back to the 90s, 80s, and 70s. But once you discover it, you can move on. It's possible. I don't get the lack of willingness to do so. And we are a simple species, and we dive right into cults. We can't even tell that we're in it. It's not just in art, it's in politics too. I mean, look at all of what Donald Trump has done, and people have willingly followed him. There's just no way to get through to so many people. It's sad.